Is James Conner going to be the odd man out in the running back room? Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Locked On Cardinals. Alex Clancy here. Joint practice coming up. What are we looking for? Josh Sweat is back off the pup. What's his impact going to be? And is James Conner the odd man out? This is tricky. You know, I talked about this a little bit yesterday. Bam Knight was in street clothes this past preseason game. Trey Benson has now been cut, released. And you're now looking at what the running back room is going to be going into 2026 for now. Jeremiyah Love, Tyler Allgeier, James Conner, Bam Knight. So the question is 25-year-old Bam Knight, who Mike LaFleur had with the Jets, more important for the Arizona Cardinals than James Conner right now? Well, first thing, they restructured his contract. So they knocked down the cap number. He's making $2.1 million guaranteed. And there was no guaranteed money for that contract that we're currently sat before is restructured. So did the Cardinals just do him a solid? They're like, well, listen, you may be on the roster, but if not, here's a little parting gift. And I'll tell you what, this is the smallest parting gift Michael Bidwell has ever given anybody. This isn't like Terrell Suggs 1 year, what was it, $7 million. He was here for 10 minutes and then went and won a Super Bowl with Kansas City. He's given out a lot more quote-unquote charity to veteran players than $2.1 million. And James Conner, you could say, was underpaid for how important he was to this team for the last handful of years. So is he the odd man out? Would you rather have 25-year-old Bam Knight or 31-year-old James Conner? And it's not just looking at between the lines. Okay, James Conner is a massive part to this team. He's a leader. He's a captain. He's a locker room guy. It's Steve Keim's best signing, offseason signing. He traded for DeAndre Hopkins. That was a Michael Bidwell thing. Steve Keim got credit, but that was an owner thing. James Conner was great. Never broke the bank. Was the offense, was the heartbeat of the offense. They leaned on him so much that whenever he got hurt, the offense sputtered. And now you bring in a new regime, a new run scheme, and you have a bunch of younger guys in there, and it's like, is it time? And you don't want it to be that way. You want him to retire an Arizona Cardinal and everything like that. It's just so funny. It's not funny. It's crazy how fast the NFL moves. Like, okay, James Conner broke his foot. He had surgery. He hasn't practiced much. And now we're on the precipice of the 2026 season. And you've got 4 dudes there. And one of them is significantly older than the other 3. And you've got Tyler Allgeier, who can do pretty much what James Conner has done. And with much less tread on the tires. So in a vacuum, is Bam Knight in a position to be more impactful for the Arizona Cardinals in 2026 than James Conner? The answer is yes, on the field. I think that's pretty clear. You know, Bam's been great. Bam's like the new version of Michael Carter. And I've talked about this a little bit, but Bam Knight is a better running back than Michael Carter. Michael Carter was always the guy after week 10, everybody got hurt. He came in, he had some splash plays, had some splash games. Bam Knight looked good in the preseason. He looks good whenever he touches the ball, it seems. And he had that breakout before everybody called him Bam when he was Zonovan Knight in fantasy football years ago when he was a kid. I mean, all these guys are younger, but when he was younger. And now you have a 1-2-3 punch of Jeremiyah Love, who is more Saquon-y. You got Tyler Allgeier, who's more between the tackle-y. And you got Bam Knight, who can do a little bit of both. Not saying he's better at either than either of those two guys, but he's kind of a hybrid of the two. He's kind of a bowling ball. Is this an addition by subtraction situation? And I led with this instead of talking about Josh Sweat because the run game is going to be so important in 2026. It is the catalyst for the entirety of the offense working. It's the engine. So when you see that they moved off from Trey Benson, you hope that he gets healthy and he can find a role somewhere. So he's still young. Hopefully he can overcome this injury, be claimed by a team who has a need and takes a shot at him, and hopefully he does well. And you got James Conner there. It's like, man, I've been talking about James Conner. What was it, 2020 when they signed him? 2021, I think. It's like, this dude's been great. He's everything you want an Arizona Cardinal to be. He probably could have gone elsewhere instead of taking a contract extension here and made equal to or more money and been in a better position. He loves it here. So this is the business side of it, where normally you talk about quarterbacks like this, but that's not Mike LaFleur's guy. Bam Knight is Mike LaFleur's guy. And he's 6 years younger, fringe. And he's played in the last year. When you have a guy like Tyler Allgeier and Jeremiyah Love, both of whom are very good in pass protection, and you've got a guy like Bam Knight who's 6 years younger and he showed a lot in a backup role. It's like, well, maybe you find a better home for James. Could you get a 6th-round pick for James Conner? Do you just have to flat out cut him? I don't know. They'd obviously try to trade him if they're looking to move off from him. I mean, it's crazy how he was one of the first names that popped up when Ashton Genty went down. Everybody was kneeling on the field. Everybody thought it was really bad. It ended up being a sprained ankle. So, I mean, listen, it's still an injury. It's like, James Conner, really? Like, right away? There's plenty of backs over the years who have produced at 31 years old. I'm not saying James Conner is at a point where he should be, where he should retire. But also, I think it's time for the Cardinals to look into moving on. And I'm not supposed to be like, oh, wow, Albert Einstein part 2 here, #analysis. Nice work. You take the eldest dude who hasn't played in a while, didn't look great before he got hurt last year, and you move off from him. That's real good. You should be a GM. Thank you. Sounds like a terrible job. But when you look at Jeremiyah Love, Tyler Allgeier, James Conner, Jeremiyah Love, Tyler Allgeier, Bam Knight, the latter makes you a little bit more giddy. Makes you a little bit more giddy, especially with how much work this running back room is going to utilize in 2026. So I think it's much more important than Josh Sweat being activated from the physically unable to perform list. The Cardinals are more than a Josh Sweat away from being a top 15 defense. The Cardinals need to figure out the running back room properly to be able to have this offense be, the engine for the locomotive that is his team in 2026. It'd be sad. Some really good times. But if you got to pick between the two, I think it's pretty obvious that Bam Knight's the answer. Josh Sweat's impact. This defense has looked terrible in the preseason. I'm sure Nick Rallis hasn't shown 80% of his hand. We're going to find out a bunch, tomorrow during the joint practices. But what is Josh Sweat's real impact going to be for the Cardinals in 2026? I'll discuss it next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Odoo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. And that's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place. Odoo is one platform to manage, grow, and scale your business. The best organizations know that success isn't about talent. It's about everyone working together towards the same goal. And that's the truth in sports, just like it is in business. We're just talking about the running back room, man. Those guys need to work together. It's them and the offensive line as a whole. It's difficult to block for different running backs with different, tendencies and things like that. The Cardinals' run game and their offensive line with the outside zone run scheme can work together. This offense can be a absolute firepower in 2026. Great organizations win because operations matter. And that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free at odoo.com/lockedon. That's ODOO.com/lockedon. Please go to the YouTube channel. Search Locked On Arizona Cardinals. Hit that subscribe button, man. Yeah, Josh Sweat it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. He was the best defender the Cardinals had last year. 12 sacks. And I understand why. I mean, listen, it's pretty obvious that the whole rumblings about him being upset and then him not having to practice the entire offseason, he was probably doing the workout with his own team, and then now he's activated. We just got, it seems like a means to an end. It seems like a means to an end. This is very Arizona Cardinals-y. Where, say they're, I think the trade deadline's week 9. Say they're, 2-6 for the trade deadline. They want to move him for a third-round pick or something. It's like, it depends on how the defense is playing. Now, I'm not saying that the defense is going to 100% be bad in 2026. It looks that way, but we're not seeing anything from this team yet. We're going to find out with the joint practice. We'll see. There's going to be plenty of film or plenty of video coming out about the Cardinals defense. I'm not writing anything off yet. It was difficult to watch some of the starters playing on Saturday night this past week and just getting punished by Joe Milton in the first half. It's, not a great look. But you didn't have Budda Baker, you didn't have Walter Nolen, you didn't have Josh Sweat, you didn't have Will Johnson, you didn't have Garrett Williams. Like, the best of the best players weren't on the field. You didn't have Mac Wilson. But if the defense doesn't play to the level that people want them to, or that people want them that they need to in an effort to win games, you could very well see Josh Sweat be traded for the trade deadline. You don't want it. You don't want it. But we'll see what his impact is. I think the one thing where the Cardinals could get away with it is see quarterback, hit quarterback. Like, it's difficult to be a pass rusher in this league, but it's pretty much you, unless there's stunts involved and stuff like that, it's pretty much you versus the tackle to get to the quarterback. You spinning off and maybe having to chip around a guard to get to the quarterback. So he's a vet. It's him versus the offensive line. It's not, an off-ball backer or safety or corner or something like that where you're playing amongst others. It's him at the line of scrimmage going against the quarterback. So I think that's the loophole the Cardinals were able to get through to be able to facilitate this, if that's what actually happened. It probably should be argued that Josh Sweat, outside of Walter Nolen, those two are the most important defensive players the Cardinals have in 2026. And I think it's out of necessity. Like, Walter Nolen, to me, is the number one most important defensive player the Cardinals have because they don't have anybody else alongside Josh Sweat who's been an impact maker up until this point. So if Josh Sweat's able to replicate what he did last year, and Walter Nolen's able to, do 80% of what we saw of him in the small sample size last year, the Cardinals pass rush is going to be better than people think, even if it's not going to be the, traditional edge pass rush group. It'll be the edge IDL group, the Ndamukong Suh, Aaron Donald group, and I'm not comparing Walter Nolen to either of those guys. They just played that position, kind of. Aaron Donald did his own thing. But the impact is massive one way or the other. Like, I think the worst case scenario for the Cardinals with Josh Sweat's impact is he has 6 or 7 sacks by the trade deadline and the defense isn't stopping anybody and they move him. Because that means you get your only pass rusher who's going to be traded. You're not going to get pennies on. You're going to get pennies on the dollar because regardless, unless he's got like 12 sacks going into week 9, you're not going to get a second round pick for Josh Sweat. You're going to get the tops will be third round pick probably, which is fine in the 2027 draft. But then you've got to withstand another 9 weeks or 10 weeks, I guess, if it was traded before, of no Josh Sweat and this defense and Nick Rallis and this Cardinals team trying to win games, whatever it is. I think if the Cardinals are anywhere competitive, if they're any close to competitive, they're not going to move them. You may as well stick it out. Wait till the offseason. if that's going to be the case. But if this defense surprises some people, if Garrett Williams comes back healthy and goes back to his regular form, and Will Johnson takes a step, and Walter Nolen takes that step, and Josh Sweat does what he did last year, and Budda Baker and Andrew Wingard or Daedon Taylor-Demerson over the top can really emerge as a group, and Mac Wilson does what he did last year, and Cody Simon takes a step, like, it's a lot of ifs, but it's not like, oh, it's this 0 to 100 jump that needs to happen. It's like you got to win the lottery at every position to see that. No, they've got a tough schedule for sure. But to be competitive, the Cardinals need to give up like 25 points or less per game. That's not asking a whole lot because this offense is going to put up points. So Josh Sweat's impact is massive. It's just fascinating how it's going to branch off one way or the other. If the Cardinals are losing a bunch of games and the defense isn't working and Josh isn't producing, you're going to have to trade him. You're probably going to have to take a 4th-round pick for him. Or if the defense is producing, if the defense is, keeping the Cardinals in games, and it doesn't really matter Joshua's sack numbers, if he's part of that 11-man group that is keeping the Cardinals in games that allow the offense to do their thing, you're not going to move off from him. You play it out. Just because everybody's saying the Cardinals are going to win 3 games doesn't mean it's going to happen. They've got young blue chip talent on defense with veterans in all the right places. And while it's difficult to see the forest through the trees with that, trust me, it's difficult. Trust me, it's difficult. That's why you play the games. There's a team that surprises every year. And I'm not saying the Cardinals are going to be the team that surprises and win 10 games and win the division and all that stuff. That's not what I'm saying. You're looking for competency on defense. And lest we forget, first 5 weeks of last year, 19 points per game or less. They started 2-3. They started 2-0 and then went to 2-3. 19 points per game average. And then after the bye, they held the second best offensive team in football to 1 offensive touchdown when they were healthy. And they weren't even healthy during the first 5 weeks. Walter Nolen wasn't there. The Carolina game was terrible for the guys who got injured. Like, when they were healthy last year, they played. And this defense, outside of Calais Campbell and Dalvin Tomlinson, is pretty much the same. I'd rather have a healthy Walter Nolen than Calais Campbell and Dalvin Tomlinson to start the season. So, yeah. Right now, it looks like a long shot, especially with what happened after week 9 last year, through this offseason, through them not doing anything, through the injuries, all of that stuff, sure. But this offense, or this defense, worked last year when everybody was healthy, or the majority of people were healthy. People are going to be healthy this year. It's not like we haven't seen it before, and they were the 32nd worst defense, or I hate 32nd best defense. Yeah, 32nd best defense, I guess you could say, last year. They weren't like that, and everybody was healthy, and not like there was a lot of stuff that happened out of their control last year. First 5 weeks, 19 points per game. We've seen it with this defense. Doesn't mean you can't see it again. Even though right now it seems very difficult to fathom something like that fathom something like that happening. Joint practice this week. What are you looking for? What are you looking for? There's a couple things I want to discuss them. And we'll do that next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Indeed. When workplace chaos hits and you need the right hire, Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps connect employers with candidates who match specific needs like skills, certifications, and location, so less time gets spent searching and more time gets spent finding the right fit. People are finding quality hires on Indeed right now. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Joint practice. Squad show today at 4 o'clock. We will be pivoting. I will give you the official yes, when we're working on some scheduling things right now, more than likely it will be Wednesday afternoon, 4 o'clock Arizona time, and then immediately following the game. Every game is Sunday this year, so it'll be a game, me for 15 minutes, instant reaction, Cardinal Squad show for an hour, and then my full show Monday morning. The joint practice. What are we looking for the most? What do we like? It's not what do we want to see the most. It's where should the eyes be? Let's put it that way. Number one, for me, Marv. It's Marv. Marv is the biggest X factor on the Arizona Cardinals roster in 2026. Marv. I want to see what he does against the secondary of the Green Bay Packers. They're going to split off. It's going to be, they're not running 100-yard drives, splitting off ones versus the ones, and I want to see Marv. I want to see Marv go against the middle, catch a ball, and get roughed up a little bit. Not hit hard, anything like that. I just want to see him go through contact and maintain possession of the ball. Marv is the biggest one for me. It's not Michael Wilson. It's not Jacoby Brissett. Oh, baby doll. Did you see it? Go to the Arizona Cardinals Twitter page. There was an over-the-shoulder catch towards the short side of the end zone with Marv yesterday. There was just an absolute dime by Jacoby Brissett. Marv over his shoulder, basket catch, in for a score. It's beautiful. It was beautiful. Marv. I want to see Marv. More than anything, I want to see Marv. Not the wide receiver group, Marv. Running back room, don't really care about. I care, you want to see, but it's not like, I don't think that that's something that you're going to have to worry about. Like, Tyler Allgeier is going to be fine. Hopefully Jeremiyah Love plays week 1. It's still kind of TBD. We've got plenty of time. There's an extra week after the preseason games end, which is great for the Cardinals for this year. They don't play until the 13th. So that's fantastic. They play 2 weeks from Sunday. So that hopefully be plenty of time to allow Jeremiyah Love to come back. A high ankle sprain is usually 4 to 6 weeks. That would probably be, it'd be between that time, between 4 and 6 weeks that he'd get to rest. I want to see Marv, and I want to see the secondary. I want to see Marv, and I want to see the secondary. Because at points, you just kind of got to know what you are. And you know that outside of Josh Sweat and Walter Nolen ain't going to be much up front. Unless, when you bring that second and third level guys, the linebackers and the corners, those blitz packages, that's a little bit different, but your every down pass rush, it's Josh Sweat and Walter Nolen, not much else. So it's like, oh, great. Walter Nolen got through and sacked somebody. Cool. That's great. You hope that happens 10 plus times in 2026. Let's look at what's going to happen the majority of the pass plays. The pass rush is not going to get home. And usually the pass rush doesn't get home the majority of pass plays anyways. But let's say of all of the highest percentage team that gets home, that sacks the quarterback, the Cardinals' percentage is going to be significantly less than that. So you want to look at the DBs and how they react. I want to see Garrett Williams. I want to see Will Johnson and Denzel Burke and Max Melton. Sure, Budda Baker, Andrew Wingard, David Taylor Demerson is week to week, it seems like, with ribs. We'll see where Keaton Crawford plugs in. But you're looking at Andrew Wingard, who's probably going to start alongside Budda Baker, who came over from Jacksonville. Veteran presence. I'd much rather have that than a hobbled David Taylor Demerson to start the season. And I'm sure they're going to pepper in the 3 safety sets like they have so much with Nick Rallis as defensive coordinator. But that's it. I mean, I want to see the DBs and I want to see Marv. I want to see clarity. I want the Cardinals to have no question about who their CB2 is. And I want them to have no question about who their CB1 is on the outside. And sure, a joint practice isn't going to solidify that in Sharpie, but you want to see some sort of semblance going into the regular season of what your guys got. And the Packers have a great skill position group on offense to be able to allow the Cardinals to have to see a bunch of different looks. Tucker Kraft is very good. They utilize their tight end a lot. They got Jaden Reed and Christian Watson, who couldn't be more different, even though they're both, go route guys at times. Jaden Reed is a gadget guy and a good wide receiver. They use him in every different way. So I'd love to see that against the DBs. I'd love to see Star Thomas not get beat by a go route. I'd love to see them not get beat by double moves. I'd love to see them pick off Jordan Love. Like the Cardinals haven't had a turnover this preseason. Oh, no, that's not true. They had an interception late against Dallas. But like, you want to see some life. You want to see some reason to get jacked up about this defense. And you haven't seen that yet. Walter Nolen had a sack against the Raiders. So that was one. And they had a tip ball. I think it was on the first drop back. LJ Collier got it with Walter Nolen's pressure. But you want to see something to get excited about with this defense in the joint practice. That's what you're looking for. And I want to see Marv just absolutely terrorized. I want to see Marv, like, this is the dress rehearsal for Marv. And everything that we've seen in camp, like there was a couple drops early on, but geez, just Marv is going to be good. He's going to be fine. And you want to see it. You want to see it. And now honorable mention, which is when we're talking about importance of team, this is kind of backwards, but the offensive line as well. You wish Micah Parsons was out there for sure. No more Rashawn Gary, no more Kenny Clark there. But they've got a vaunted front. They abused the Cardinals with the help of, I think they had 6 sacks with the help of Micah Parsons when they played Green Bay week 7 last year. Week 7, I think. You want to see how the right side of the offensive line holds up. And you want to see how the twos hold up. You want to see how the entirety of the offensive line from start to finish holds up. So while everything that I talked about is in reverse order, it's because the offensive line, you pretty much know what you got. You knew what you had. Didn't add to it. John Gaines will be that swing guy. You hope Isaiah Adams doesn't get arrested or something like that. I don't say that flippantly whatsoever. It's just, you hope that for the case of the Arizona Cardinals specifically, hope he doesn't miss time. Elijah Wilkinson's going to be Elijah Wilkinson. You got John Gaines, who can play all 3 interior offensive line positions. And you've got, Josh Fryer at right tackle backup and Matt Pryor at right guard backup. Hayden Connor can play center and left guard. Like, you've kind of seen this during the preseason, what you've got. But, like, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, so that's pretty stable, you think. Marv, you have no idea. Like, you hope and you think. And with a new offense and with Nathaniel Hackett and Michael LaFleur, you think, but you got to see. And the DB room is the biggest question mark because we don't know. We just don't know. We've seen flashes. We haven't seen anything that's solidified from last year that you trust any of these DBs to be CB1, CB2, and Garrett Williams in the nickel. Like, that's fine. You know that he's going to play there every down. This joint practice is so important. It's the most important couple days of the offseason, of the preseason for the Arizona Cardinals. And you hope we see more good tape out of it than bad. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Remember, without you, there is no Me Cardinal Squad Show today at 4 o'clock. Talk to you then.